let's talk about something crazy for the Chargers here. I think I've talked about it on this channel before, but we are going to talk about it again. I don't even know if I have the same opinion as I did before, but I think when I made this video the last time, there was no salary cap room, nothing was happening, and now the salary cap picture has become much more clear for the Chargers, and it has the opportunity to do one thing that honestly has never been done. With when you think about a Harbaugh offense, when you think about a Harbaugh team, okay? So it has never been done, and that is having an elite wide receiver. And there is a rumor that there is linkage between the Chargers and Brandon Aiyuk. So we're going to talk about it here because it's June. All right, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about what this could look like. And when you're done watching this video, wait till you're done. All right, go and watch some highlights of Aiyuk, because here's what's going to happen. You're going to think to yourself, Brandon Aiyuk is a decent player. He is a decent player that is in a good system. And then you're going to go watch those highlights, and you're going to be like, this dude is out of control. All right, he is phenomenal, and that's exactly what we're going to do in this talk right here. Is we're going to talk about why first with the Chargers, or not the Chargers, with the 49ers get rid of him, and then does he work with the Chargers? Does he work with the salary cap? And all of that kind of stuff. All right, the 49ers would trade Brandon Aiyuk for a couple reasons. Number one, they're in contract struggles. They saw Amon-Ra St. Brown. They took too long. They saw St. Brown sign for 30. That's what Aiyuk's going to need to get. But now you just went and saw Jefferson sign for 35. Wide receivers are getting money. CeeDee Lamb is going to follow. Jamar Chase is going to follow. These guys are going to get money. Aiyuk is going to demand even more than Amon-Ra St. Brown. And in many ways, he's similar to Amon-Ra St. Brown. The other reason is they have salary cap problems. We're going to look into that more when we look into the salary cap freedom that the Chargers have. So we're going to look at that. The third reason he's expendable is because they still have Kittle. They still have Deebo Samuel. They still have Christian McCaffrey, who, by the way, they just signed an extension on $19 million a year. $19 million a year for McCaffrey and Ricky Pearsall. So the writing is on the wall that it's time for him to go. The question is, how much can they get for him? And now let's talk about who Brandon Aiyuk is as a player. Last year, he had 75 catches on only 101 targets. He was not targeted often. Imagine what this dude could do with 130 targets, with 140 targets. You're talking Tyreek Hill type numbers. All right, you're talking CeeDee Lamb type numbers. All right, he turned 75 catches into 1,342 yards and 7 touchdowns. He had an overall PFF grade of 92.3, which was the second highest graded wide receiver behind Tyreek Hill, just in front of Nico Collins and, who I talked about earlier, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Are you kidding me with that? But for wide receivers, the stat that I love the most, I have fallen in love with this stat. All right, it is the passer rating when targeted. And Brock Purdy's passer rating when targeting Brandon Aiyuk was 126.8. Can you imagine what Justin Herbert could do with this type of a weapon? So now what I always love to do is I love to get into the salary cap of it all. So this year, if you look at salary cap, you're like, what are you talking about? Why can't the 49ers afford this? They have $32 million in salary cap. In fact, they have more money than the Chargers do this year. Brandon Aiyuk is not going to cost a lot of money this year because he's still on his rookie contract. It's what's happening in the future. So if we go 1 year into the future, if we just look 1 year into the future, Chargers are still here. They have $62 million left. They're going to have even more, and I'm going to explain why in just a minute. But they have $62 million left, all right, in cap room. That's number 9. But where are the 49ers. Number 30 with negative $23 million. Now, they're not in Cleveland or New Orleans purgatory. All right. They're not all the way down there, but they're going to have to let a lot of guys go. And with Aiyuk going to be demanding between $30 and $35 million a year, they're going to need to pay him. What if we go out just another year? Because it's like, oh, we can push the money down the line. Chargers are still in a good position. They're still 8. They have $220 million. All right. When you look at the 49ers, only 51. There's a lot of players that have to be signed in order to get there. All right. That's 44 players on their roster. All right. So that is just an idea of where like things stand right now. They have a lot of good players that they've had to play or pay. Go out one more year. I promise this is the last year. 2027, the Chargers are still 9th. They still have a ton of money. And the 49ers are still in the bottom 5 or 6 teams. So that is one of the other reasons why it makes sense. So the question then has to come to a couple of other places. But before that, I want to just finish up talking about how do I want to... Okay, here's the way I want to say it. They have the ability still, when you talk about their cap room, to save money. Khalil Mack is coming off the books. This is his last year under contract. He has a void year next year. You can't do anything about that. All right, Joey Bosa. If you are to keep him next year, his cap number is $36 million. All right, but there's a potential out with a dead cap of $11 million, potentially saving $25 million. So if you let Bosa go or you trade him, okay, after this year, then what all of a sudden you're looking at is you're freeing up $25 million for a guy like Aiyuk. That is everything. All right, that's everything. That's everything you need. $25 million, you're going to pay Aiyuk 32? Like, let's go. Let's go. Why not? And that's where I just say, like, let's get in on this thing. Let's get in on this thing. So I'm actually feeling really excited. And then let's look at what the Chargers have next year. They have their complete allotment of draft picks. Complete allotment. Plus an extra 6th rounder. Thank you very much. All right, I'll take it. You want to give up one of these for Aiyuk? All of a sudden, your team goes from this team where it's like, oh, what can we do? Like, are we a real threat? Are we a challenge? Like, our offense is really good because when I look at it, I'm like, oh, man, we have great tackles. We have a pretty good interior line. I think we have running backs that are pretty good. We have an elite quarterback. But what happens at wide receiver? If all of a sudden you slide in Brandon Aiyuk, then all of a sudden you have Palmer in the slot if you want him, or Ladd McConkey in the slot and Palmer and Aiyuk, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, do we have like one of the best receiving cores? Like, are we top 10 receiving core? And then you're like, all of a sudden this defense under Jesse Minter, you're like, oh yeah, this is gonna work. All right, so I think there has to be a thought process of like, what do we need to pay to get this guy versus what other people are? Is it a first rounder? Is it a second rounder? I would happily give up a second rounder to be able to sign Aiyuk to a 4-year deal and have him and Herbert playing with each other in that time. That would be unbelievable. All right, thanks so much for watching. We want to be your go-to spot for Chargers content. Thank you so much for keep watching. We're well over 5,000 subs now. On our way to 10. All right, thanks, everybody. See you on the next one.